In this second screencast, we're going to now go to the volume rendering application, and immediately we see a volume rendering of our electron density data. We can use the left mouse button to rotate the model. We can use the middle mouse button to zoom in and out, and we can use the right mouse button to adjust it in the screen plane. Translation. So when we're rotating here, you notice that we're getting what I call a proxy view of the volume, which is using WebGL in the web browser, assuming the web browser has the capacity to do WebGL, and it's doing a low resolution version of that volume in real time, rendering in the browser itself. As soon as I let go of the mouse, the volume is rendered by the GPUs which are located in the cloud, and by doing this we achieve a reasonably interactive sort of response. I can change the rendering parameters, the overall density of the volume being rendered, the brightness. Depth queuing is fairly average at the moment. We intend to improve that in the future, although I'm not sure how much people really use depth queuing anymore, so we may just remove the feature altogether. We can turn on lighting. I might increase the ambient there, change the specularity, or change the highlights to be sharper or blurrier. We can change the amount of sampling, which can increase the speed of the rendering in some instances. In this small data set it's not a big factor, but 5 samples per voxel is usually adequate to get a nice smooth rendering. We can adjust the color mapping, where we assign a color and a density to each voxel according to its density. Let's turn this into a red volume. This is a 1D histogram, and we're seeing where that color is being assigned across that histogram. We could do something like this, where we have green there and red there. Fairly ugly looking rendering. We could now, for example, bookmark our settings. So we go here, green and red. Then I could go and change the scene a little bit and go back to select green and red and retrieve those settings. Do that again. Let's change it a little bit more radically this time. We'll do that. We'll do that. We can do that. Go back and get our setting. So it works effectively like a bookmark or a way of saving that set of parameters. Say I really like this particular rendering and want to share it with my colleagues. I can now go and save that image, give it a name, green and red, and at the moment I can go to the public gallery and see that a bunch of images are there that I generated in another account, but not that particular image that we just generated because it hasn't been made public yet. So you can save a bunch of images for yourself, or you can save the JPEG that was rendered, but you don't necessarily have to make it public at this stage. If we go back into the volume rendering application and go to select that image and make it public, we could give it a little bit of description. Nice frog in a blender, maybe. Maybe we won't put that. if we go now to the we can actually hit that button there and see we have a unique URL that will allow us to save that image or send that URL to someone else, and now that it's been made public they will have access to it. But we'll go back to the gallery and see that that image is now available in the public gallery. I'll go back into the Voluminous application. So that was a basic example of rendering, and we'll do something slightly more sophisticated this time. Let's have a look at this other data set, which is tooth. We'll go to the mapping here, and so we have the option of, it's a more interesting histogram, but we have the option of looking at this data set using a 2D histogram and applying the color map in such a way that we assign the colors and opacities according to both the density as well as the change in density, or the rate of change of density. So it's the first derivative of that particular data set. I won't go into all the details of how you understand and read a 2D histogram at this point in time. Just sort of for the people who use Drishti, they'll know all about it, but I'm sure that's been covered in some of the Drishti help videos. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start pulling out some of the detail of the various different materials in this tooth. So let's do that. We could increase the sampling a little bit here. Let's do that to 5, make it nice and smooth. We're going to do another transfer map, make it 2D. We'll choose another color. Quickly, I'll do maybe light blue, and we can see we've got these different materials. This other material there, and finally let's do a third. I'll color it red. Put it 2D. Where are we? I think that's where we want it there. Need to make the blue material a little bit, whoops, double click on that to create a new color again. I'll reduce the overall density of this a little bit here so we can see through it. At this point we could turn on lighting as well. We're going to increase the density again, we'll increase the ambient. Anyhow, we've got very quickly to a sort of an image which is beginning to pull out the structure in this tooth. And we could publish that to the gallery. And let's call it yellow tooth. Make it public. We could save this scene so we can get back to it in the future. Go to the gallery, and there's our yellow tooth. You can see I was heading towards this nice one, but we didn't get to it that quickly. That gives a basic rundown of the functionality that we've implemented so far in Voluminous. This, as I say, the site is currently in beta, and I would like to invite beta testers who get access to the site to go crazy and send me their feedback. Obviously there's still plenty of things which need to be implemented, and in the future there's any number of new features that we're going to be able to implement in this system, but at the moment I think it's ready for its first real live testing, and I would encourage you all to to do that. One of the things I should say is you have now access to a user-specific image gallery. So when I hit this button here, this is the public gallery, which is combined from all the users of the site. When I hit if I hit the button here, where you see that the URL is for a particular user, so you can share with other people a gallery which is solely composed of the images that you produced by yourself. Anyhow, well, I think I'll wrap it up here before this video becomes too long, and I hope you all find the system useful.